All right, hi. I want to say, man, what a beautiful day it is. I thought no reason to be downstairs, no reason to be in the garage. Let's do an install outside. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to go ahead and I've already removed the original light bar that was up here. Those are the original brackets that I bought, you know, like an Amazon cheapy $50 brackets, nothing spectacular. But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be installing the Pro6 LED light bar from KC Highlights. That's why I'm all dressed up in the attire, as you can see. And sorry for the beard. It had to come off. It's summer and it feels like it. It's going to be about 90 degrees today, so I want to get this on here before it gets too hot. And let's go ahead and get started. What I've done is I'm hoping that this is going to work out, but what I've got are just the original light bar brackets. These are just the stock ones that you can buy, you know, off of Amazon or wherever you want it to do that. They're just nothing spectacular, but they did their job, but a little bit worse for wear. But as you can see over here on the left, I've got my snorkel. And when you install that particular snorkel, you almost have to put your light bar on first, then the snorkel, because if not, you have to take off the whole fender, flares, whatever you have running on your rig. So what I'm hoping to do is just remove one side and use the KC Highlights JKE light bar system, bracketing system, just on one side, and hopefully those will line up. You're going to be using just this little groove right here on the other one too. So what we're going to do real quick is just go ahead and remove this real quick and see if the new light bar bracket system is going to work with this or not. So before I put this on, I want you to see how nice these brackets are. They've even got the KC logo cut out on the side here. And what they've done also is they provided you with a nice rubber gasket that goes behind there so it won't scratch up your vehicle. And I'm just going to put just a few bolts in there just to hold it and see how this is going to work. And this is going to use a 5mm Allen socket. You can also use a hand wrench if you want, but I'm just going to use this drill to speed it up a little bit. Again, I'm just doing a test fit just to see how this is going to work. And right now I can see that with the aftermarket one over on the other side, it's got also that same groove. It's actually setting straight up and down. But what KC Highlights has done is just a little bit of an angle. But that should work just fine. I'll get this all tightened up, put the gasket on, put the correct hardware that came with the JK bracket from KC Highlights. And then we'll be really close to being able to just drop the new light bar on and take a look and see what it's going to look like. And just by looking at this, you can tell that these are the ones that you normally come with your other. This is actually your factory bolt that would come with your Jeep, and this is actually the one that's replacing from KC Highlights. It's actually a little bit longer as well, just to help with trying to grab the rest of that new hardware you're putting up there. So that's nice of them to do that. Normally your aftermarket ones are just going to use your own factory bolts, but again, you've got a nice long bolt here. And there you go. It's that easy, and man, it looks really nice. It is solid. It's got a nice powder coat to it. What I might do is, if you can see, I've got a little bit different color offsite setting here on the Jeep, so I might even try to find me some vinyl and put some here on the back, just kind of, you know, kind of incorporate that KC logo a little bit more. We'll just see what I can come up with, but just something to think about. You might want to kind of customize a little bit more of your vehicle and put something behind the KC just to show that off a little bit more. So now it's on to the next step. I just want to show you real quick the comparison between the two different brackets. Again, this is the old one, and all they do is it's actually more of a pill and stick type thing where they just put some, I don't know, just some foam that you just peel and stick and put that on. They're actually putting you with an actual like rubber gasket that will go back behind here and really protect your paint, because they really care about their product as well as they care about, you know, they don't want to skip up your vehicle either. Again, you can also see the kind of the poor weld points here, how it's rusting. In here, this is so nice and clean. You can't, I don't even see any welds. These probably are all just bends from different pieces of metal. I'm not sure. You know, they're right here on the back here, but man, it looks really nice and clean. So this is the difference between the two. A big difference, and this is probably more of a universal. That's why there's so many different holes. This is made for one purpose only, for those light bars. So the ones that they make. So this is great. All right, here it is. The KC Highlights Pro6 8-ring LED light bar. This is so awesome. A little bit of weight to it, you know, if you want to, you can do a little bit of here, a little bit of that. But what I also want to show you is just the back of this. Just to be serious here for a second. You can just see how well all this is all put together. It's got a really nice housing units to all of them. And the way this is set up from the factory is the power connection is actually going to be on the passenger side, which is closer to the battery. So if you wanted to, and you didn't feel like wanting to put it there, you could actually rewire this if you wanted to and adjust it and put it on to the driver's side if that works for your particular application. But we're going to go ahead and leave it as is, and I'm actually be installing this onto what's called an S-Pod. If you're not familiar with that, it allows you just to have to be able to hook up a red and black wire to a box, and then that way you don't have to worry about the relays and all the extra wiring, fuses. That's all taken care of by using the S-Pod. So really doesn't matter if it's left or right. It's just a little bit more extra wire that I might have to run, but that's not a problem. So I just wanted to show you real quickly, again, just the craftsmanship, all the work that's been done on these. And here we go. Let's go ahead and put it on the Jeep for the first time. I don't have an extra pair of hands, so hopefully I can get this up there. This is take number one. My finger's caught. Ow. So for those that are going to be putting that up there on your own, make sure you take off the nets on either side. I need to do that real quick, so I'm going to reset and I'll come right back. All right, so there you go. It will work with a aftermarket light bar light bar bracket if you still have that on your vehicle and just didn't want to replace one. You can buy whatever options that are going to work for your rig again, but that's what it's going to look like. I'll go ahead and tilt it up so I can see it for the first time as well. That is awesome. Thank you, KC Highlights. Also, in my previous video, I also mentioned that they also have locks for these. So since I did take off that bolt, that just saves me a little bit more time, but I'll be putting locks on either side and adjusting that. If you can see here at the top, there's actually a bump stop right here, and what that's for is that way you can get that vibration. That way it's nice and tight. You almost preload it in a sense. Once you tighten it down for those last couple bolts, make sure it's not going to move it all on you. So that's going to go right here on the back and adjust it however you want. But then when that's nice and tight, that way it takes away all that vibration and just gives you a solid mount. That way there's no give or weighing to it. All right, so it was already getting a little toasty. As I had mentioned, it's going to be pretty hot today, so I went ahead and moved in. I wanted to show you real quickly the wiring harness that comes with the system that is provided by KC Highlights. You can see it's a lot of different wires, but it's very well organized. This is going to be your fuse. Got a relay box. Of course, it's a KC relay box. You've also got, and then everything that you see here is all watertight connections. But if you're using the S-Pod, like I had mentioned earlier, you can get rid of all of this. I'm still going to cut into this wiring harness, and hopefully I don't mess it up. But this is actually what's going to be connected to the light bar itself. And so if you just travel through this maze of wires, you'll get down to this section right here. So you have the black and the white. So the black's going to be your ground, and then the white's actually what's going to be all your power. And so if you're running a different wire that you may have just laying around the house, try to make it as thick as you can, or try to match that same the gauge of wire. But what I'm going to do is I'll probably cut it back just a little bit, just in case I need to crimp and reuse this for something, or if my my next friend down the road needs one of these light bars or something and something needs to change, then that's a possibility. So we can just cut these off and do a little splicing, some wire tap, and you're good to go. But you can see that this is really nice and thick. It's also has all that waterproof, the heat sink, all of it. These are Delphi connections, so really nice stuff. So again, for an S-Pod, you only need 2 wires, and that's going to be the white and the black. So again, I'll cut it back here a little bit, and then we'll keep this rest of this wiring harness if I needed. But this is for those without an S-Pod. You would have to run all these wires and find out whatever works for you. But I just wanted to come in and show you what we're going to do for the wiring portion. All right, so we've got it mounted up here. I've done the bump stop on the back. I've got that nice and tight. I've got my locks on either side. It's holding it up very nicely. It's time to take off one of these covers. So again, I mentioned before, you just come off from the bottom. We'll take that off. Nice KC, nice and shiny. Solid. Time to take this off and see how shiny it is. Oh man. Slow motion. Oh. Oh. And you'll hear it click. It's on there. All right, what we've got here is the final installation of the Pro6 KC Highlights LED light bar. Now it is time to take off all the packaging and see exactly what this is going to look like. All right, so far it's looking good. Now it's time to take off that final piece. Woo! Yeah. And the last one is slow-mo. Yeah, that'll work. That looks really good right there with all the KC all nice and straight. And this only takes like 160 watts versus like some of those light bars would be anywhere from 400 to 500 watts. So this is gonna outdo them all. Just the way the reflection is from the KC and the LEDs that are built into it. But that's what it's gonna look like. I'll real quickly take off all the coverings and put the cases back on. That way we can take a look and see what it looks like with the cases. And there you go. Another successful install for Jeeps Rock. And also again, thank you so much to KC Highlights for allowing me to be an ambassador and start promoting this throughout the Midwest. Thanks again.